Ashley stumbled into the room, her son's small hand tightly clutched in hers. The door clicked shut behind them, and the echo reverberated off the polished floors like a grim announcement. The room was beautiful, opulent even, but every element of luxury felt suffocating, a silent reminder of how powerless she was here. Velvet curtains swayed slightly in the faint breeze from a half-open window. The chandelier's crystals caught the light and cast fragmented rainbows across the marble floor. Plush sofas and gilded furniture gleamed mockingly, their perfection highlighting the tension coiling in Ashley's chest. She kneeled briefly to add just her son's grip on her hand, feeling the tiny but determined pressure of his fingers. His eyes were wide, dark, and alert, absorbing every shadow and movement. He didn't speak, but the fear radiating from him was tangible, and it ignited a fierce protectiveness in her. She whispered, almost to herself, "Stay close. Don't let them see your fear." Her gaze swept the room again. Each detail, the polished table, the heavy drapes, the ornate frames, was a reminder of the world she had been pulled into, a world she had never wanted. She could feel the weight of the mansion pressing down on her, but she refused to let it intimidate her. Her dark-skinned athletic frame straightened, and her shoulders squared. She would not cower. Not here. Not now. Not while her son's life depended on her defiance. Footsteps in the hallway outside snapped her attention to the door. Her heart skipped, chest tightening. She knew the sound, slow, measured, deliberate, the approach of June's mother's goons. They were methodical, practiced, trained to intimidate. And behind them, inevitably, would be June's mother herself, sharp-eyed, commanding, and unflinching. The realization made her stomach twist, but it also steeled her resolve. Ashley pressed herself closer to the door, instinctively positioning her son behind her. "Stay behind me," she whispered. "No one touches you." Her son's small nod was all the affirmation she needed. His trust was a lifeline, an anchor in the storm of fear and uncertainty. The key turned. Click. Then another. And the door swung open. Two black-clad goons stepped inside, faces blank, muscles tense, the air around them heavy with silent authority. Behind them, like a shadow of power, entered June's mother. She was striking even in her age, mid-60s, Korean, fair-skinned, silver-grey hair in a tight, elegant bun, dressed immaculately in a luxurious dark outfit. Her sharp brown eyes scanned the room like a predator assessing prey, landing briefly on Ashley and her son. Ashley planted herself in front of her son, body tensed, muscles coiled like springs. Her eyes, dark brown and expressive, met June's mother's gaze without flinching. Fear coursed through her veins, but it mingled with anger and determination. She would not give in. Not now. Not here. Not while her son's life was on the line. June's mother's gaze lingered on Ashley, cold and calculating, but also curious. This woman, dark-skinned, athletic, with an unyielding fire in her eyes, was different from anyone she had encountered. Most cowered, most obeyed. Ashley did neither. "Settle in," she said smoothly, voice low but carrying the weight of command. "You'll find your stay here. Comfortable, as long as you understand your place." Ashley's jaw tightened, fists clenching at her sides. Her son's small hand gripped hers tighter, and she whispered, "We stick together. No one can separate us." Her voice was steady, but her mind raced. Every scenario, every possible escape, every way to protect her son, flitted through her thoughts. The goons positioned themselves near the door, silent and watchful. Every shadow, every sound became a potential threat. Ashley's body was taut, ready to move, to shield, to fight. Her son watched her intently, trusting her implicitly, feeling the tension but drawing courage from her strength. June's mother allowed herself a small, cold smile. The game had begun. She knew the stakes, knew the defiance in Ashley's posture. But she also knew power could bend even the strongest will. The air in the room thickened with unspoken threats, silent challenges, and a tension that made every heartbeat loud and sharp. Ashley glanced at her son again, then around the room, memorizing every detail, the location of furniture, the distance to the doors, the patterns of shadows. If she had to fight, she would. If she had to bluff, she would. But above all, she would protect him. And in that moment, the golden room no longer felt like luxury. It felt like a battlefield. The chandelier flickered softly, sending fragmented light across her face, highlighting determination etched in her expressive features. Every fiber of her being screamed readiness, vigilance, and a single unyielding truth: no one would take her son without a fight. The door opened again, this time more formally. June's mother stepped inside first, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor, followed by the two goons who flanked her like living shadows. In her hands, she held a thick folder, leather-bound, the kind that spoke of power, control, and cold authority. The glint of a brass lock caught the chandelier light as she set it carefully on the ornate table. Ashley's eyes immediately darted to it, sensing the weight and purpose before even reading it. Her son clutched her hand instinctively, leaning close, sensing the tension radiating from her. "This," June's mother began, voice calm but edged with authority, "is a document transferring the guardianship of your child to June and our family. It is a legal formality, necessary for him to inherit his rightful place in our empire. Your cooperation is appreciated." Ashley's dark brown eyes narrowed, her body stiffening as she planted herself between the table and her son. "You can't. He's just a child. You think I'd sign something like this?" Her voice was low, trembling with a mix of fury and fear, but every word carried the weight of a challenge. June's mother's lips curved into a small, cold smile. "It's not a request, Ashley. It's a necessity. June cannot inherit the family's legacy without an heir. You have the choice to sign voluntarily, or we can proceed without your consent. Either way, the outcome is the same." Ashley's fists clenched at her sides. Her son tugged slightly at her sleeve, sensing her tension. She bent down slightly, whispering fiercely, "I won't let them take you, not like this. Not ever." From behind, June's presence was subtle but immediate. He stepped forward, the dim chandelier light catching his fair skin and sharp features. His eyes, dark brown and desperate, flickered between his mother and Ashley. "Ashley, please. I don't want this for him. I don't want this for you. But my mother. She's right about the family. We have no choice. I can't do this alone." Ashley's gaze shot to him, anger and disbelief mingling with the faintest flicker of something else: hurt, regret, and perhaps a long-buried memory. You're pleading for him? You weren't even there when it mattered. You left me with nothing." Her voice rose, echoing off the high ceilings. Her son buried his face against her side, overwhelmed by the intensity. June's mother, unshaken, leaned lightly on the table, her fingers brushing the edges of the document. "The boy's welfare is paramount. We are not acting out of malice, Ashley. This ensures his safety, his future. You cannot protect him alone in this world." Ashley's jaw tightened. "I don't need your protection. And I don't need your empire. I will never sign that." She picked up the folder and flung it to the floor. Papers scattered like autumn leaves, the sound harsh and defiant against the polished floor. She took a step back, putting herself firmly between her son and the adults, her posture rigid with anger and resolve. June took a cautious step forward, hands raised, voice softer now. "Ashley, listen to me. I know what my mother is asking is wrong in so many ways. But she's the only way this boy can be safe, at least in their eyes." His voice faltered, thick with emotion. "I don't want this for either of you." Ashley's eyes burned into his. "And yet, here you are, standing behind her like some obedient child, hoping he'll cooperate? You left me, June. You let her dictate everything. Do you think your apologies now can undo 10 years of pain?" Her son peeked out from behind her leg, sensing the unspoken words and unresolved tension, the room heavy with history and anger. June swallowed hard, guilt flooding his features. He wanted to reach for them, to bridge the gap between them, but the chasm of betrayal, anger, and power seemed insurmountable. June's mother's eyes flickered with impatience. "Ashley, time is limited. Sign the document, and you will leave with your dignity intact. Refuse, and, well, the law is clear." Ashley laughed bitterly, a sound tinged with defiance and despair. "Dignity? You think forcing me to hand over my child is dignity? You're delusional." She stepped closer to her son, wrapping her arms protectively around him, her gaze sharp, unyielding, full of raw fire. The room seemed to shrink under the intensity. Shadows from the chandelier danced across their faces, highlighting anger, fear, and desperation in equal measure. June's mother's calm authority was met head-on by Ashley's unbreakable defiance. June stood frozen between them, helpless, desperate, and aware that no amount of pleading could untangle the raw emotions crashing in the room. The room had grown heavy with unspoken tension. Ashley stood with her son clutched close, dark brown eyes blazing, every muscle in her athletic frame coiled with defiance. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the sheer intensity of the moment. Every polished surface around them, the crystal chandelier, the gilded furniture, the plush carpets, felt like a reminder of the world she had fought to escape. And now she was trapped inside it again. June stepped forward, his fair skin almost glowing in the soft chandelier light, jet-black slicked-back hair perfectly in place despite the emotional storm in his eyes. His angular jaw was tight, and his dark brown eyes were filled with a mix of regret, desperation, and a hint of lingering affection. Every instinct told him to reach out, to try to calm her, to make her understand. But he also knew the weight of the past, the years of absence, the betrayal she had endured. "Ashley," he began, his voice low, trembling slightly, "please. I'm begging you. I know I have no right to ask this after everything. But I don't want her, I don't want them, to hurt you or him. I don't." His words faltered, choked by emotion. Ashley's gaze snapped to him, fire burning brighter than ever. "You don't?" She spat, voice cracking with rage. "You didn't care 10 years ago, June. You left me with nothing. You left him, our son, with nothing." She pressed her son closer to her side, her arms a shield, her body tense and ready for anything. June swallowed hard, every ounce of pride he once held shattered. I know. I was reckless, arrogant, stupid. I thought I could live without consequences. I was wrong. You were wrong." Ashley's laugh was bitter, sharp as shattered glass. "Wrong doesn't even begin to cover it. You took everything from me. And now you come here, expecting me to cooperate with your mother's schemes?" Her son whimpered, the sound small but heart-wrenching, and instinctively, Ashley's grip tightened. "Sure, it's okay," she whispered, her voice softening for a moment, only to harden again as she glared at June. "I will not let you, or anyone else, decide his fate." June's mother, standing a step behind him, watched silently, eyes sharp, lips pressed into a thin line. She could see the conflict playing out on both their faces, the raw tension in the room. June's desperation, Ashley's fury, and the boy's fear created an almost tangible storm. June took another hesitant step forward, lowering his hand slightly. "Ashley, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to trust me. I don't want this. I don't want your son taken from you. I'll do anything, to make sure he's safe." Ashley's body trembled, not from fear, but from the rage and pain coursing through her. She shook her head violently. "Trust you? After everything? You think you can just waltz in here, 10 years too late, and make everything right?" She pressed her son tighter, her voice dropping to a hiss. "I don't trust you. I don't trust your mother. And I sure as hell don't trust that empire of yours." Her son peeked up at June, eyes wide and unsure, sensing a glimmer of familiarity in the man's face. Ashley's gaze softened just slightly, her instincts telling her to protect, to shield, but her fury remained dominant. She set her jaw and stood taller, unwavering. June's heart ached as he saw the defiance, the anger, and the protective instinct radiating from her. He had wanted this reunion to be a moment of connection, but instead, it was a stark reminder of his failures. He opened his mouth to speak again, but Ashley cut him off with a sharp gesture, waving her hand between him and the boy. Don't come any closer." Her voice shook, but it was filled with authority. "One step closer and I swear, you'll regret it." The room seemed to contract, the chandelier light flickering across their faces, casting shadows that danced like silent witnesses to the confrontation. Every heartbeat echoed in the polished space, the clash of emotions almost tangible. June's mother's patience thinned, but she said nothing, letting the scene unfold, knowing that Ashley's defiance alone was a test of power. June lowered his gaze, swallowing the lump in his throat, powerless to bridge the gap. Ashley's son whimpered again, burying his face against her side, and she murmured, "It's okay, baby. Mom's got you. No one's taking you." And in that silence, heavy and suffocating, June realized something painful and undeniable. No amount of pleading could undo the past. The tension between them was raw, unyielding, and layered with heartbreak, longing, and unspoken love. The room remained still for a moment longer, each party frozen in their roles. Ashley, the protector, her son, the innocent caught in the middle, June, the desperate father unable to bridge the chasm, and June's mother, the calculating observer, watching the storm she had orchestrated. The room seemed to shrink under the weight of the moment. Every polished surface, the chandelier, the marble floor, the gilded frames, glimmered mockingly, reflecting the tension that filled the air. Ashley stood firmly, her son clinging to her side, his small body trembling. Her dark-skinned, athletic frame radiated strength despite the fear she could not completely hide. June's mother stepped forward, heels clicking against the floor in deliberate, commanding rhythm. She was calm, composed, yet there was a sharp edge in her tone that cut through the air. "Ashley," she began, her voice low and controlled, "you have been given every opportunity to cooperate. This is your final chance. Sign the document transferring guardianship to June and our family. Do it willingly, and no harm will come to you or your son." Ashley's fists clenched at her sides, her nails digging into her palms. Her son's small fingers gripped her hand tightly, sensing the storm of emotion radiating from her. She could feel the weight of the family's authority pressing down on her, but she would not buckle. "I told you," she spat, voice shaking but fierce, "I will not sign. I will not let you take him. You think a piece of paper can make him yours? You're delusional." June stepped forward, his sharp brown eyes flickering between his mother and Ashley. His voice was strained, desperate, trembling with emotion. "Ashley, please. I don't want this either. I never wanted this to happen. But my mother, she won't back down. If we don't comply, it won't just affect me, it could hurt him. I'm asking, no, begging you. For his sake." Ashley's eyes shot to him, dark and fiery. "For his sake?" she repeated, incredulous. "You think he'll trust you after 10 years of silence? After everything you've done, you suddenly care about him? Don't make me laugh, June." Her son whimpered against her side, and she pressed him closer, shielding him with her body as though she could physically keep the world from reaching him. June's mother's gaze hardened. She extended a hand toward the scattered papers on the table. "Ashley, I will not repeat myself. This is not a negotiation. The boy is his father's heir, and his safety is guaranteed only within the framework of this family. Sign, and leave with your dignity intact. Refuse, and we will proceed with or without your consent." Ashley's laugh rang sharp, bitter, echoing against the high ceilings. "Dignity?" she spat. "You think forcing me to hand over my child is dignity? You've built your empire on fear and control, and you expect me to cooperate because of it? Never." Her son's whimpers grew louder, and instinctively, she bent slightly to whisper into his ear, her voice soft but urgent, "It's okay, baby. Mom's got you. No one's taking you. Not today, not ever." June's heart clenched as he saw the determination and protectiveness in her stance. He had imagined this reunion differently, pleading, understanding, perhaps even a tentative reconciliation, but instead, he faced a wall of unyielding defiance, raw anger, and righteous fear. The air between them crackled, thick with tension, as June's mother's patience finally began to fray. She raised her voice, commanding yet measured, "Ashley, this is not just about me or June. This is about him, your son. You cannot protect him alone. You are placing him in danger with your defiance. Sign the document now." Ashley's eyes blazed, a mixture of fury, fear, and determination. She shook her head violently. "No, I will not sign. I would rather die than hand him over to you." She positioned her body even more firmly between her son and the adults, a living shield, unwavering. June's pleas grew more urgent, desperation creeping into every word. "Ashley, please. I can't lose him. I can't lose you both. I'll do anything, to keep him safe. Just. Please." Ashley's dark eyes flickered to his, and for a fraction of a second, the fire softened just slightly, revealing a glimmer of the complicated, unspoken emotions between them: anger, hurt, pain, and something that once might have been love. But the moment passed as quickly as it appeared, replaced by her defiant glare. The room seemed suspended in time, every heartbeat loud, every breath sharp. Her son's small sobs filled the silence, and Ashley whispered reassurance, pressing him closer. June stood frozen, torn between obeying his mother, respecting her defiance, and grappling with the guilt of the past. June's mother's cold eyes swept over them, calculating, waiting for the moment to regain control. And in that tense, suffocating silence, it became painfully clear. No words, no pleas, no threats could break Ashley's resolve. The battle lines were drawn. The stakes were higher than ever, and the next move would either shatter them all, or change everything forever. The room felt smaller than ever. Every polished surface, the gleaming marble floors, the ornate gilded frames, the luxurious carpet, seemed to press in on them, reflecting a tension that was almost physical. The chandelier above cast fractured light across the walls, glittering like shattered stars, flickering across Ashley's determined, furious face. Her son pressed against her side, trembling, tiny hands clutching her clothes as if she were his only anchor in the world. Ashley's dark-skinned athletic frame was taut, every muscle coiled for defense. Her curls were slightly tousled from the confrontation, yet her expressive brown eyes burned with a fire that no wealth, no authority, could extinguish. She had survived 10 years of injustice, humiliation, and threats, and she would survive this moment too. Her son was safe, she had made sure of it, and she would die before letting anyone take him from her. June's mother, heels clicking on the polished floor, stepped forward with deliberate authority, but there was a subtle shift in her posture, a hint of uncertainty, almost imperceptible. "Ashley," she said, her voice low, smooth, but edged with impatience. "Sign the document now. It is for the boy's safety. You are only prolonging what is inevitable. Cooperate, and no one will be harmed. Refuse, and..." Her words trailed off, the threat unspoken but heavy in the air. Ashley's gaze flicked to the scattered papers on the floor, where the jagged shard of broken glass she had accidentally created earlier glinted. A surge of defiance and desperation washed over her. In a fluid motion, she scooped it up, feeling the sharp edge against her palm. She pressed it against her own neck and wrapped her other arm protectively around her son. "Touch him, and we both die right here," she hissed, her voice trembling but razor-sharp. "I mean it. Every word. Don't even think about it." Her son whimpered softly, burying his face against her chest. "It's okay, baby," she whispered, rocking him slightly. "Mom's got you. No one is taking you. Not now. Not ever." She could feel the tension radiating off him, the fear, and it only strengthened her resolve. She would rather die 1,000 deaths than let anyone separate them. June's sharp brown eyes widened as he took in the scene. His slicked-back black hair shone under the chandelier light, and his fair skin seemed almost luminescent against the shadows. He stepped forward, chest heaving, voice trembling with guilt, sorrow, and desperation. "Ashley, please. Don't do this. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt him. I can fix this, I can." "You?" Ashley spat, her voice cracking with rage and disbelief. "You can fix this? After 10 years of absence? After you left me and him with nothing?" Her gaze bored into him, full of fire and fury. "Do not talk to me like you know what's best for him, June. You weren't there." June's mother froze, realizing for the first time that Ashley's defiance was not just anger. It was a protective force, a wall impossible to breach with threats, coercion, or legal documents. Her authoritative composure flickered, revealing a moment of vulnerability she rarely allowed herself. "Ashley, you must understand, this is for his future, for his safety. You cannot protect him alone." Ashley's dark eyes blazed. "I don't need you to protect him. I've been protecting him his entire life. And if you touch him, if either of you even think of laying a hand on him, you'll regret it." She pressed her son tighter, feeling the warmth of his small body against hers, his soft sobs mingling with her own ragged breathing. The chandelier light fractured across their faces, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. The room seemed to shrink, suffused with tension, anger, and unspoken emotions. June's hands hovered mid-air, unsure whether to approach or freeze. His heart ached with helplessness, guilt, and a longing he could not name. He wanted to hold them both, to make things right, but he knew no gesture could undo the past, the years of betrayal, and the pain he had caused. Her son whimpered again, tiny shoulders shaking, and Ashley whispered fiercely, "You hear me? He is mine. He is mine, and I won't let you take him." Her voice echoed across the room, a mixture of raw power, desperation, and protective fury. For a moment, all four adults froze. The goons flinched, unsure how to respond to such unyielding defiance. June's mother's sharp gaze softened just slightly, her lips pressed into a thin line, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. June's chest rose and fell rapidly, helplessness and heartbreak etched across his face. He opened his mouth to speak again, but Ashley cut him off with a glance so sharp it might have drawn blood. The seconds stretched into eternity. Every heartbeat was deafening. The boy clung tighter to Ashley, muffling a sob with his shoulder. Ashley rocked him slightly, whispering reassurance and fury in the same breath. "No one touches you. Not now. Not ever. I won't let anyone do to you what they did to me." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Ashley lowered the glass slightly, keeping her son close, every ounce of defiance and protective instinct radiating from her. Her chest heaved with exertion and fear, but her eyes never wavered. "Do you understand?" she whispered. "Do you understand what happens if you cross us?" June's mother took a hesitant step back. Her authority had been challenged and fractured, her control slipping in the face of true maternal ferocity. June's shoulders slumped slightly, his pleading gaze now filled with helpless remorse. The chandelier's warm light flickered across the room, illuminating the tableau. Ashley, unbroken, fiercely protective, her son, small but safe, June, desperate and powerless, and his mother, commanding yet vulnerable. And in that tense, cinematic silence, the story paused, not with resolution, but with a frozen heartbeat of raw emotion, a clash of love, rage, and power. A reminder that even amidst wealth, influence, and authority, the bond of a mother and her child could defy them all. If you'd like to see the next episode, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It'll help the channel a lot. Thank you and God bless.